So here it is, finally after a year, I have my PTR, PDW SBR, the way I want it. It started life off as a PTR 51P from Atlantic Firearms, and as soon as I got it, I submitted my Form 1, and I've done a lot to it since then. So I'm just going to go over kind of some of the changes that I made to it and what I think of the gun. So mainly this is just a range toy for me. It is unloaded, by the way, because the 308 out of an 8-inch barrel is just insanely loud and honestly doesn't really have any sort of practical purpose to it other than just to have fun and make a big muzzle flash the range. So with that being said, if you're looking for that kind of gun, then this is perfect. Just something to play with at the range, just something different. So when I first got it, I took off the flash suppressor and installed a surefire muzzle brake to kind of help with the recoil, but it also enhances the flash quite a bit out to the side. Even with the flash suppressor, since this is an 8-inch barrel 308, there's still a pretty big muzzle flash, so it's kind of pointless. So I just figured might as well put a muzzle brake on it, and that works out quite well. I also changed out the handguard to a HK. This is an authentic HK vented handguard. It's not inexpensive, but it's definitely worth it. And I also have a Magpul forward grip. I was kind of going back and forth on this, but this gun is heavy. It's a 10-pound gun, unloaded. So this just kind of helps with a little bit of the weight. But yeah, that was fairly inexpensive. But I added this extended charging handle. This is HK as well. And this helped quite a bit because the original one was metal and it was kind of hard to grab. It wasn't that comfortable. This one's perfect. Moving along, I changed out the lower receiver to a, this is also HK. This is an ambi lower receiver. And this was kind of expensive, but I like the look of it. And I like how it is ambidextrous. I also had this rifle Cerakoted in graphite black, because honestly I just didn't like the look of the original kind of HK semi-gloss. So I went ahead and had everything Cerakoted, including the stock, and I really like the look of it. It's kind of like almost looks like an anodized, kind of Parkerized finish, which is what I was going for. One thing that was kind of a pain was this is also is an HK G3 retractable buttstock, and this one actually has notches in it, and is actually, I think it's either like 3 or 4 position, which is nice. So you know, for different shooters, you can adjust to them different lengths of pull. But I had to get the recoil spring changed out because the PTR PDW uses a retractable one, and the one that came in this wasn't retractable, so I had to have a gunsmith remove the old one and weld on the retractable one. But it's totally worth it. And a lot of people were saying this buttstock was going to be brutal on the PTR, and it's honestly not bad at all. It's not any worse than an AK, in my opinion. So also I like the look of it. I do have a fixed buttstock with the collapsible recoil assembly, and I have this just to have it. I mainly just shoot this, but this is nice just to have, and I added I think it's called an Easy Cheek rest on it, And I have this on a couple of my other guns, and it just kind of helps with your sweat, so your cheek isn't sliding on the stock. It also helps a little bit with the recoil. I've also added a Aimpoint Pro, I believe is the model, and it took me quite a while to find an optic that worked for this setup because I had an EOTech on here, but because the way this stock is, I couldn't get a good sight picture on the EOTech. It was just a little too high for me. So after looking around, doing a lot of research, I came across this and found a low mount for it, and it works quite well. So I'm really happy with that. I also added that little panda sticker right there. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that I forgot to mention is I had a trigger job done. So the pull weight came out at 9 pounds originally, and now after the trigger job it comes in at just about 5 pounds. So it's much nicer to shoot. So overall, I'm happy with it. That's pretty much everything I've done to this rifle. And it really is just a range toy. It's a lot of fun to take to the range, show it with your friends. I mean, the 308 is pretty inefficient out of a 8-inch barrel. I mean, it's getting somewhere around 8K ballistics out of a 16-inch barrel. But yeah, still fun though. I wouldn't recommend this for like a home defense or something like that. The fireball is insane. The first time I had it as an SBR, I took it to a indoor range, and the fireball was so massive that it covered the 2 lanes to my right and left, and everyone just stepped back and stood towards the wall. So that was the first and only time I took it to an indoor range. Now I take it to an outdoor range when it's not as crowded. But if you're trying to clear a range, it's perfect for that. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message or leave a comment. Thanks.